Welcome to another episode of Operation Feed the Nation. We are still here at the Soiless FarmLab. And with me is an amazing person who is in charge of the projects here at the FarmLab. So she is the project manager, Mrs. Peace. And she will be taking us through the different projects they have at the moment. It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Soiless FarmLab, it's an amazing project you guys are doing here. We've had the opportunity to go around the different sectors of the farm to see what is really going on here. So now, besides the farm, the Soiless FarmLab, what other projects, interesting projects are you handling here at the moment?
Okay, so currently we have a project called EYiA Enterprise For Youth in Agriculture. This project aims to train women and youths in agriculture for a space of 3 months. And the whole aim is to have them have a dignified and fulfilling work. This training, compared to others, aims to train them and also provide them with some form of startup. So they get about 4 greenhouses, then they get to continue the agricultural process just to help them in their journey. You don't want a situation where they just get trained and then they get to start looking forward to how to. Yes. But with this training, they not only get trained, but also are provided with inputs or a startup for them to commence their agricultural journey. Okay. So the project trains for 3 months 1,000 people, youth and women. With we have about 70% women ratio and 30% men.
Okay, so now let me cut you in. Why is the ratio of women higher than that of men? Is this something the project you wanted to do in the project, or it just happened that the turnover of women is more than men?
So I think when it comes to the agricultural sector, over time, before we go to this project, we've been training, and we've noticed the what's the right word now? The dedication when it comes to women.
Oh yeah.
So we've seen scenarios where in one of our trainings, a sponsor gave a grant and said, okay, for 4 people, give them about 500,000 naira each, 2 males, 2 females. And we did that. But guess what? After the training, the females that were awarded that grant stayed back. The males took that money and we never heard anything about them again. So when you come to dedication, when it comes to agriculture, and I mean, agriculture needs a lot of nurturing. Of course. We see more of the female. And outside that, right now, a lot of organizations are trying to empower the women more so that they can come into the workforce, and we stop having the norm where it has been more male in the workforce and few women. So we are trying to empower more women into the workforce too.
So you mentioned that, after the training process, you equip them with certain things, items that or tools they need to go in. So how do you do this? How do you go about it? Is it irrespective of the location they are in, or you pick the location where you want to set up this project for them?
The location is this present location, okay, Soiless Farm. So they are provided with 4 greenhouses. Part of their training, they get to learn how to construct the greenhouse. The greenhouse they construct during their training is the greenhouse they are going to manage. So everything happens here in this premises. For every 50 persons in a group, they are handed 4 greenhouses. And they also helped with agricultural guidance, also the inputs, the seed, the nutrient, and all of that. So after the training, which is 3 months, they are still giving mentorship to ensure that they are able to effectively manage these plants and have good harvest. The title of, outside being EYiA, I think EYiA came from one of our work and learn, and it became work, learn, and earn. So just as I said, it wants to provide them with a dignified work. So after the training, they are expected to start yielding income. It's like you're living a place where you have no source of income, or you want to know better about agriculture. So a place where you not only get trained, but you're provided input to ensure that you start making money.
Okay, so it's safe to say that they're responsible for whatever greenhouse is assigned to them.
Yes.
So in cases where your own greenhouse is not doing so well, you're responsible for it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So let's move on to talking about tax management. How do
Okay.
you assign that? I know you have a lot of people working under you and with you to make sure this project go on smoothly. So how do you get to assign tax and know that a particular person you're handling this tax to is responsible enough to see that tax too?
Okay, so when the project started, good enough, because we've been training, we had do I call it an archive now of people who had passed through our training. So an example is agronomy aspect. You had lots of people we could choose from because they had passed through our training. We've been training for over 2 years before this project came on board. Then for other positions, like this training required, we needed a safeguarding officer, we needed a gender specialist. For such kind of, we don't need somebody in the agricultural space. We had to just what's the word now? Just make it known in the public that we needed people to do this, and they had an idea of what the project scope was all about and how to work about it. Good thing was, because they were experienced, they were already familiar with some of these things. However, there was always close, or there is also always close monitoring. So irrespective of the fact that a tax has been assigned, we get to have weekly project stand-up meetings to know how is your project doing, how is everything, what needs to be corrected, what are your problems, your risks, your challenges. So yeah, close monitoring.
Yes. So with the close monitoring you get, are there still times where you have people fail in their projects? And when those times come, now you know you've monitored this person, you believe that, oh, they can handle this project well. But along the line, they fail in this project. Do you replace them, or you just go on with the training to make sure they get it right?
Okay, so in all sincerity, fail is even a strong word. Let me say, let me say they don't do too well. I don't want to use the word fail. And I think, yes, we've experienced that. And the reason is simple. Now, if the tax required was strictly agronomy, we won't have that issue, because just as I said, we had lots of people.
Yeah.
Now, I'm bringing in someone who is a monitoring and evaluation officer. I'm bringing in somebody who is a gender specialist. I'm bringing all these people had experience in other fields outside agriculture. So yes, there was a part of them getting familiar with what the agricultural sector entails. But that's why I said I won't use the word feel. So it's more like what they have always known. They initially put that in practice, but along the line, I had to consciously make them understand that in agricultural sector, certain things need to be tweaked. You can't do it like this, you have to do it like this. And they caught up. All they needed was just that, not just understanding, but familiarization of what it was.
The extra push.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move away a bit. Let's talk about the security challenges we face here, the security aspect of the business. Now, this is a massive project. A massive project you guys do here.
Okay.
Year in, year out. A beautiful project you do here. So how do you make sure that the security measures are all put in place to curtail theft? I mean, you have a lot of equipment here. You have even the seedlings you're working with that they are not tampered with. So what are the security measures you have put in place to handle all of that?
So for anyone coming into the farm, I think there are about 3 checkpoints. We had to start first with the community, because one thing we've learned so far, when it comes to farming in a village like this, you need to be friends with the community.
Of course.
So we made use of the community securities first. People like the OPC, the vigilante, we started with them. Then we also have the legions. They are from the paramilitaries. And once in a while, we also have the police officers who come around to just
do inspection
and all of that. So we had to put all this in place before we even commenced the project, because of the number of people we are housing in this facility. Then talking about the seedlings or the plant, a lot of time, even for the partners that have their farms here, what they do is, whenever you're not in your greenhouse, you're locking your greenhouses. The person in charge of nursery, when she's not in the nursery, she's locking her nursery. So you can't walk into anybody's greenhouse without their permission. You can't walk into the nursery without the keys. So a lot of places are always locked. You need to always contact the person in charge of that place before you gain access to that.
So you are going to boldly say that you have not had cases where even workers here do something they're not supposed to do. In the sense that, of course, I mean, we are talking about security here.
Yeah.
So are they, or is there any case of, a worker, breaking in and doing, something they're not supposed to do?
No.
Okay.
For workers, no.
Okay, but have you had those challenges with people outside?
So maybe the people that we have trained, not breaking in per se, but when you say doing something they are not supposed to do. So let's say normally the deal is when they are done growing this produce and they want to sell it, we link them to a market. So before you cannot just carry produce and you're not in the sales department and you walk through that gate. So we've had scenarios where you had a past training saying, oh, because it's from my farm, you can't do that. We need to see your invoice, your receipt to show that. So all those measures needed. So yes, we've had those scenarios and we had to call them, enlighten them, tell them why these are in place, and yes, I think they got the correction. But from the workers, no.
Okay. Finally, I would like to know, we're talking about the business, I would like to know what exactly are those challenges you face. I mean, every business has its own challenges. So what are those challenges you guys go through here on the farm, and what do you think are the best ways that you would be able to curtail those challenges?
Okay. So before now, one of our major challenges was communication. Yeah. We found that sitting over 300 acres with over 70 staff, and you had training about 1,000 people. There was always that communication gap. So you have somebody on the field, something goes wrong, they're trying to communicate and call someone or the plumbers. And it's interesting to know that where we are right now, do I call it, the network band is very poor.
Yes.
We had that issue and we kept blaming the communication units until we realized we needed something like this, a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
So every staff of this organization has a walkie-talkie. With that, we are on a particular channel. So when something goes wrong, all the person needs to do is alarm everybody. Oh, a pipe has busted. He's calling the plumber, but we are all aware of it. So I can even decide to be the one standing up and ensuring, plumber, hope you're getting this fixed. So with that, it has drastically helped one of the key issues we had, because as little as that communication issue was, it was a big problem. So you have problems happening and there was no means of communicating. You can't start leaving the farm to the office. It's quite a distance, and that was one of our biggest issues. Fast forwarding to now, I think where we are still trying to get things working is with past trainees. So yes, past trainees in the sense that we still have some issues where because a lot of them are youths, there's this entitlement mentality. So you're expected to be the one taking care of your greenhouse and ensuring that all the processes are fine. But then they're expecting Soiless Farm to take care of everything. So there's an issue, Soiless Farm. Unfortunately, we do not want that from you. This is just, take this input. This is all you need. Commence your agricultural journey. See it as your farm. If you're outside these premises, how will you handle this? But passing that information to them has not been as easy as we expected it to be. So I think people that were able to grab easily were people that maybe had businesses they had and practiced before coming here. But imagine the youths that are just students or just finished school and coming here. And they are still trying to get what it means to run a business and own it.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. It has been a very informative session with you. So we have come to the end of our interview in the Soiless FarmLab. It was just an amazing time to get to know everything about the farm, the crops they grow here, and of course the people that make it all happen. So don't forget that this show is basically to sensitize the general public on the need to invest in agricultural practices. So I am Ememian, your co-host, and see you again next time. Thank you.